Yo, what up, guys? What up? What up? Hopefully, y'all guys doing good today, man. So, got a new rearrange my office. So, obviously, it is gonna look different than what it was before. My workstation where I'm at now. So, I did do some upgrades to it from a sense of I did get a new camera, so the quality looks better. Oh man, you know what? I did not change. Damn it. That's fine. It's not in 4K. I forgot to change these settings, but I don't want to do it now because I think it may mess up my stream. That's fine. I'm not going to do it now. It's full HD. I'll do it next time. Forgot to change it to 4K. So even though it may look good, but I'll make the tweaks tomorrow and it should look better because it'll be in 4K instead of HD. But yeah, man. So I got my computers in the back. These two computers here and here is what I use when I do my YouTube videos, streaming. I mean, I'm streaming, I guess, now, so I got to set up in this computer my workstation to stream. But when I'm doing content creation, things of that nature, it's what I use that's set up in the back. Got the green screen over there. Um, Still doing some tweaking, but it's good for now. So hopefully, I guys had a good weekend, man. Actually had a busy morning today, and let's see. One of the things I need to do, we had a bug fix. We had a bug in the Go Share It application. Released a fix. Unit test's been done, so I'm gonna go ahead and migrate over these changes. So I use GitLab to manage my repos, for version control. And so I started using GitLab, dude, some years back. Like it's been a couple of years. I don't know if I could tell. I'm looking at some projects right now that I have here, 3 years old. What's the oldest? 4 years old. I'm trying to think if I have anything older than 4. Maybe like 5 or 6, maybe. Well, again, I'm looking at when it was last updated, and the last update on some of these do show 4 years old. But in reality, though, they would have probably been created even before that. Like, here's the one that I'm about to check real quick. Just kind of curious. Yep, see, it's over 4 years ago. So I guess I started using it probably about 5 years ago. Is when I started using GitLab, and I use it. Honestly, I think it was longer. There's a project, one specific project, but either way, started using it because I know at the time looking for something that allowed private repos that were for free, and ultimately this allowed that. I think nowadays a lot of I believe GitHub allows private repos and all that stuff, but either way at the time. So that's kind of why I went with this, and I've pretty much been using it, man. I had no reason not to use it. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is, now that unit test has been done, I need to go ahead and push those changes over to production. So let me go ahead and do that. So I'm bringing in my, where is it at? So got my dev, I'm gonna go to main. This is to fix those. Let's see, just want to make sure. So let me see, let me review the bug again. Oh yes, the bug was related to messaging. It wasn't showing any messaging. So what the bug is, whenever you upload a file, as an example, what else? You upload a file, edit a file status, or what was the other one? You want to share a file, so you put in their email and you send it out. It's supposed to give you a pop-up, like a message saying, shared successfully, or edit successfully, or file upload completion, something. It wasn't doing that. Well, it was doing it for password status only files, but for anything else, which is public and passcode, it was not doing it. So that was the issue here. Um, let's see. And did I? Yeah, they had changed the JavaScript file as well. Cool. Yep, that's everything. So let me go ahead and we're not going to delete source from branch. Let's create merge requests. All right, man, it's taking a while. There it goes. All right, cool. Let's merge. And done. So what I need to do too is go to my issue list because we fixed this bug. Oops. Let me go ahead and complete this task. This has been completed. All right. And let's see, let me go ahead and close issue. Cool, closed issue. Yep. Nice. All right, cool. So that's done. So now that I closed the issue, been merged to the main branch. Let me go ahead and I'm going to go to my terminal, can go ahead and remote into my production server. And go ahead and pull in those changes. Let's see. Let me go do my git pull origin main. Let me see what my credentials are. All right, cool. So now let's do git pull origin main. Put in my username, password. All right, cool. We pulled that bad boy in. So now that we pull that in, so I'm using Django for my application, the backend. There were some changes to a JavaScript file. JavaScript file got updated. So I need to run a process called collect static. Ultimately, what it's doing is grabbing the new set of static files. So in Django, when you're developing, there's a folder called static. So that's where you put in your, let's say, CSS, JavaScript, those kind of file images, whatever it is, fonts, things of that nature. Now, when on the actual server, though, the production server, I have Nginx looking at a different folder that's called static files, right? So as I develop, all of my files go into static, a folder name called static. But in the actual server, I have Nginx pointed to a folder called static files. So what happens is I have to run a process called collect static. It's pretty much taking all the files in my static folder and it's moving them over to static files folder. Now, one of the big differences though is I have it configured to append a hash value anytime of a file change. So the reason why I do that is more so for the purpose of I have a new version of that file. So in my case, I do have a JavaScript file that got updated. So now as it generates a new JavaScript file, it's adding a hash value at the end of the name. And in my actual HTML, where I'm specifying which which source files to pull in to use, it's actually looking like the file name itself gets updated and it's actually specifying the one with the hash value, the updated one. What that does is anytime a new user again goes and logs into the portal, because the cache file that they have on their system, like in their browser, may be related to a old file name. Well, now again, the hash allows it to give it a different, a unique file name now. And because the browser not going to find it no more, because like, hey, it's, I don't have that cache. That's a new file. It's going to go ahead and download that new file, pull it in, and then now it'll be able to apply whatever changes were done in the JavaScript file to the application. Without doing something like that or similar like that, what happens is, depending on how long the web app has been configured to before it refreshes some of these files, like before the user is requested to have to pull a set of new files, they won't see the changes until that happens. Maybe it's 2 weeks later, maybe it's a week later, or they have to manually go to the inspection piece of their page and disable caching, reload, and then it'll bring in new file. Again, users shouldn't have to do all of that, right? So that's kind of the reason why you do something like this, to give the file names a new name, and then when the user comes back to the app, they're going to request a new pool of files to come in. So I'm going to go ahead and run my Python manage collect static, and it should be one file, I believe. I'm going to say yes. It actually says 36 static files copied over. Damn, why 36? What changed? I know one changed. Trying to think, there's some missing for some reason. Yeah, I'm not sure. But either way, we'll check it in a minute. We pull that in. Now that I've done that, what I need to do is I want to reset the server. So in order to do that, I'm going to do sudo system ctl restart nginx. And let me think. Oops. No, my bad. Damn it. I don't want to restart nginx. What I wanted to do, restart the application, which would be the unicorn settings. So in this case, let's do system restart, go share it. Let me restart that. Boom, that'll restart those settings. So now let me go to let's see. All right, cool. So I should be able to, let me go ahead and share my screen. So now everything should be working fine, like normal, right? So if I go to, just upload a file. I'm going to just do 1 hour, passcode, then share file. So we got a message when we first upload, which is good because that was not happening before, which is this one right here. So now if I want to share it, so let me go ahead and share it. So it'll be contact imlu.net. Let me share. Boom. See, this message box was not popping up before. But let me rephrase it. It did pop up, but only when the status type was password. If it was public or passcode, it did not. So in this case, obviously that works now. And again, we tested this in dev, but just kind of showing anybody who's watching that yeah, it works now. So we had the duration is how long the file gonna be available to access. After that duration is gonna it's gonna be gone, right? So I'm gonna, if I change it to, let's say 7 days, edit, see, I get a message. Again, that was not happening initially, but now it is, so that's good. And so I did share, edit. Yeah, those are the two main ones, and all of that works fine now. So that's been pushed out of production. We're good. That's functional. So yeah. So one of the features that I'm going to be working on next on here, and this is something because I'm actually using myself. So I set up an API for this application, and ultimately the API, again, RESTful API, it allows you to post files to this API, which means you could upload a file to the API and it'll get posted. I have tested out with large files. So far, everything works pretty smoothly, I gotta say. The problem that I come across was I was able to integrate this with Power Automate, which is good. Because ultimately what I did in Power Automate was I was able to do a trigger in Power Automate. When this file becomes modified when it gets modified, then what happens is trigger the Power Automate job. And then the next step is go ahead and grab that file from SharePoint, download it, I guess, or bring it in, and then go ahead and post it to the API, which means it's ultimately going to upload it to the Go Share It platform because it's sending it to the API. In response, like once it finished uploading the file to, like, posting it via API to Go Share It app, the Go Share It app will provide a JSON response back, which would contain the URL, like the download URL. If it's password or passcode protected, it'll provide those two values in return as well. Like it'll give you the passcode or the password, either or. Because either way, it gives you a set of information. Those are some of the key ones in a way. It gives you other information too, like the file size, the file name, trying to think what else, but it gives you a few other pieces of information. But the main two that matter is the download link, and then also if it is password or passcode protected, what are those values? Like what is the passcode and what is the password? You could tell in the app, we have this icon here. So if I click on it, it would actually copy the passcode. So I could, if I'm going to share it with somebody, I could give it to them. If I were to share a file with somebody, again, like this one, which I just did right now. So maybe let me go to my email to kind of show you real quick. So ultimately, you would get an email like this from the system. This is the email that came from Go Share It platform, and then ultimately let me put it. I got it in black and white, but this is how ultimately it looks, right? It gives you the passcode. It gives you the download link, obviously. So by clicking on it, it'll direct you to the web page, and then you got to provide this passcode. So when you send it through the actual platform, you get the passcode. But let's say you're not sending it to an email to the platform, because you're sending, you're gonna send it, yeah, you're gonna create your own template, right? Your own email template. That's kind of what I did in Power Automate. Created my own email template, something more basic than what this is. And then ultimately, I was, because the JSON response gives me back this passcode and the URL link, I was able to populate that in the body of the email. So like that, the user is able to access the file and then download the file, right? They're able to do that. So that was something that I ended up doing. And it worked fine. That's the thing about it. Actually, it worked really good. Tested it out, like, dude, it's awesome. So now as we make a change in SharePoint, it automatically will trigger, post it to go share it, send an email to, let's say, the client or the end user, whoever that is. And now they get an email with a download link. And if you, again, passcode, if you want to like give it some protection, so not just random people is able to access. So now your audience gets it. They're able to access the file. And then you could, obviously, see how many times is it being downloaded to kind of keep track. Like if you share some kind of report with the team, and then this shows 0, then that tells you, hey, nobody's accessing or even looking at this report. But if you see that it's been downloaded 5 times, hey, that tells you, hey, 5 people downloaded the file. Maybe the same 5 people. I mean, I'm not sure, but at least some people download. And there's some features that we're going to be adding little bit by little bit. Is going to be, capturing. Like we cannot capture who downloaded the file, but ultimately being able to get a estimate of at least from where did they download the file from, right? That's kind of where try to capture information like IP address and stuff like that. Obviously, that's all information that's being available by default. Like anytime you as a user, let's say you go to Google or you go any kind of website, some of the data that's passed on from you to the server when you connect to that URL is information like the IP address, the device that you're using, right? Are you like what operating system are you using? What browser? That kind of information that's provided. Obviously, it's not like your name or your address or none of that personal information. It's kind of more IP, and normally by IP address, that's how they'll be able to get some analytics, to be able to get an estimate of, all right, this audience belongs in this area. It's kind of like with Google, man. Like I'm YouTube. I mean, I make YouTube videos, and there's analytics that I get back that tells me, 20% of your audience from this part of the world. Well, how do they know that? They know that because they're capturing the IP address. And from the IP address, they could tell what country you're from at the minimum. Sometimes even being able to drill down even closer, not just what country you're from, but what city you're from. They're able to even go to that level. But normally that's about it, right? I mean, they're not able to get more information than that. But because of that information is public, it's available, right? In the trends as people access it. That's something that we may start adding on, having those kind of features to be able to get those kind of details. But I would say though, some of those features, because that's where it becomes a more feature rich, would be more part of the paid version of the app, right? Like the free version is going to be, you could share, a few files. We're probably going to limit it to maybe like 20 files, and then no more than, like 2 gigs per file or something. I think we said 5 gigs max, but also probably put some criteria where, it cannot be no more than a total of like 10 gigs total that you're sharing. So 10 gigs total at a given time. And then also, I don't know if you notice the edit status, we have 7 days. This is going to get expanded. So just like we have 90 days, we're going to add 180 days. I think we're going to change it to, we're going to do 30, 90, 6 months, one, and then I think the other one would be 1 year. But all of these, like 1 hour, 1 day, 7 days, that would be all part of the free tier. Everything else, 30 days, 90 days, 6 months, 1 year, that would be part of the paid version. That's gonna be part of that version, right? And what else? And then ultimately, the paid version, you'll get features like API access and things of that nature. Um, Still thinking like API access. Normally, you don't see those kind of features. Like you see it in a paid version, but that's kind of more like enterprise level type. So that's kind of where we may create another bucket where we have free tier, then we have paid version, which like standard subscription. And right now we're thinking like maybe $5.99 subscription or something like that. And then there will be I don't know if we call it enterprise, but it'll be like premium subscription, you want to call it, or something like that. That one would be a little bit more. Maybe it'll be like $15.99. It's kind of what I'm thinking, around that range. That's where you will get API access and you will get some of these other features, um, like customized templates. Just like the way I showed an email right now, like this, but then be able to, you customize your own. And you could kind of put your own header and own information on it, and also even probably do some things where you could have it come from your own email account, right? So again, like an enterprise, you want it to come from a specific email internally, because maybe you have rules or what, I don't know, but whatever reason you wanted to show that's coming from you, especially if you're like sending these emails that's coming, that's going to clients, right, that you're going to share files with. And maybe you don't want it to show go share it, so it shows from you. And then also be able to show like the download page, right? Like if I were to go to the download page, for example, let me copy the link. As you go to the download page, be able to customize this as well, where again, I'm not. I'm still need to think about it some more on that one, because for me, that is more effort, more work, and even like the more I think about it, even if I do something like $15.99 price tag, I don't think that's actually worth it, to be honest with. Maybe some stuff it is, like custom email template, and maybe even something like this where you could easily customize this by changing the image to something else and maybe put in your logo, right? Do little small things. I think that should be fine. Um, but I think in my mind, when I think of enterprise, I'm thinking the subdomain wouldn't say app. It'll say the company name, right? Whoever the company name is, this would have their logo. This would be some kind of image of that they want to show, perhaps. Um, the color schema perhaps will be slightly tweaked to match their color scheme of the organization, things of that nature, right? But again, I know I'm just trying to think of what makes sense in that approach, right? Whether it be a where everything kind of pre-designed and they could configure it, or whether it be more of a they have to request it and then we will just have to customize it and publish it. Because I think if we go down the enterprise level, there's a few things in my mind that would change as well. Like a good example would be the database. Instead of having right now all the transactions ultimately are being managed in one database. But I think in an enterprise level, it will be any client that goes down that path, they would have their own copy, their own database. So that means all the transactions will be separated from everybody else's. The storage right now, all the storage is being stored in AWS, which is not an issue, right? One bucket, put it all in one place. But I think just from a practice, probably makes sense to create a bucket for that client only. So now everything goes into their own bucket as well. Like it does separate some things for some crazy reason, right? If something ever were to get hacked or something of that nature, like in the normal version, they wouldn't or shouldn't have any access or be able to access any of the enterprise clients information, put it that way. like files or anything of that nature. Obviously, try to do whatever you can to prevent that from happening, but nevertheless, I mean, things do happen, right? So, but that does add a layer from that aspect of it. I'm not quite sure, man. Again, it's one of those deals where we got to start off baby steps and then kind of go from there. All right, so we got that pushed out. I'm going to be working on that next. What else? There's a few other things, man, because I have had a busy morning. Let me try to think. There's a few things I need to work. I actually got a big project that I'm going to be working on. This relates to some integration with a few systems. TIE, which is like a domestic freight forwarding system. Ultimately, they're going to be doing invoice in that system, and they want to be able to take all of the invoices every night, whether it be AR or payables or receivables. And ultimately, we're going to take them all. We're going to send them to a whole different system. So it needs to get imported into that other system. And then after these, let's say receivables, or even I believe payables maybe as well. Like when payables get paid and receivables get received, they will get posted in that second system. So now we got to transmit everything out and send messages back to the first system to confirm that these AP invoices have been paid, on what date they were paid, or these receivables have been received and what day they were received. They received payment. So yeah, that's one integration project in the pipeline. And then there's another one. It's an existing client that we already doing integration for their WMS system, but they're actually switching to another WMS system. But the way it's not like we're going to switch everything overnight either. It's going to be more of it. We're going to start out with one client first, get them set up in that new system, and do integration with that new system. And then over time, once they're onboarded, we're going to start migrating over the other clients over to the other system. So yeah, that's going to be a big project in a way. I mean, there's going to be some rework done because we already integrated. We already, well, yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, there will be some things that would have to get redone, but again, it's part of the project. And then I have another one that I'm actually working on now related to invoicing. As they invoice in their system, it's going to trigger out the PDF document invoice plus the transaction XML. But they're adding attachments to that as well. So what I need to do is as it gets triggered out of the system, it's coming out in two forms. One trigger will send out XML to the web service. The other trigger is going to email all the documents to a specific email account. Well, that email may have like 15, 20, 30 emails, and they're like different types. So ultimately what needs to happen is consolidation. I would have to do some consolidation to consolidate these types of documents, right? If it's like this type of document, consolidate. If it's this type, consolidate, etc., so forth. And yeah. And I got the process, and overall that process works fine. Then I had to generate an XML file in a SOAP format, and that works fine. Some of the issues I've had, I was trying to test by posting to the clients, the trade partner web service, and I don't know, man. I'm having some issues where it's not posting for some reason. And he did it on his side and it worked fine. I tried on my side, even using SOAP UI. I'm still having issues, man. So I'm not sure what the hell is going on there, but it's just odd, man. It's odd. But either way, I'm not too concerned about that. We'll figure that out later. I need to start now figuring out. I got the big piece done where we are able to migrate files. We're able to encode these files to base 64. package them to the XML and do all of that. I need to now start working on the process of how we're going to get all the documents out of the system. And then ultimately, I need to create a process where I identify the emails, I download all the files, then ultimately I need to put them in specific folders. So when my process runs, it's able to merge based on each folder, right? If I have like 5 different folders, like one for packet list, one for master bill, one for commercial invoice, each folder may have a few files in it. So as it goes into each folder, it'll merge all the PDF documents to generate one PDF. That's ultimately what again, it's a little bit complicated, but I got a good chunk of it done. I still need to figure out the other chunk. You know what? There was some issue that we had with one of the web services. Not my web service, but one of the system that I'm using that I integrate with. I don't know why, dude. All the transmissions we sent, a lot of them been getting rejected. I'm gonna assume it's related to bandwidth. Like I am sending like thousands of XMLs over to this web service, and sometimes it comes all at once. Like, and I noticed that a lot of the time it's like fail, like certain XMLs fail. Or let me rephrase it, not that they fail because their system failed it. It's more of a what is it? It's more of a, dude, I literally like I get a 500 error. So yeah, man, it's like it happens, but like for the amount of transmission that I send, let's say for every 10,000 transmission that I send, we're probably getting, I don't know, I'm gonna say maybe 50 failures. Like where it did not even get received on the other side at all, type deal. So it's not like crazy when you think about it, like, oh, what's only 50 out of 1,000? That's not bad. But the problem is that some of these 50 are very what's the word I'm looking for? Are very important that they need to get into the system, and because they didn't, now it's caused an issue. Like, hey, we don't got this in the system, and people are realizing it very late. Like when they have to submit these transactions to customs and so forth, and that's why it becomes a big issue. So I'm gonna go see if they have commented anything back. This would have been when, dude, do I not see nothing? What's today? Don't tell me nothing got created, man. Nope. Damn it. So I was talking to somebody, and then I swear they were gonna do it. They did not do it. That sucks. All right, man, it is what it is. All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna call it a day now. Got about 40 minutes into the stream, so hopefully tomorrow, guys. Again, it took a little bit longer because I was waiting for this plug for my camera. Finally got here a little bit later than what I was expected. So that's why it took longer to get started with the stream. But tomorrow, guys, tomorrow I'll be on a little bit earlier and be on for at least an hour for sure, maybe more. And yeah, again, guys, man, y'all take care. Thanks for joining the stream. And yeah, take care. Peace.